The Chicago Manual of Style tutorial. Okay, I'm going to walk you through step by step how to create a document in Chicago Manual of Style. And so what we want to do first is I'm going to use Google Docs. So let's see how that works. So I'm actually just going to type in right here. I'm going to type in Google Docs, and then you want to go to where it says sign in, or like this main one is probably good. Once you have a Google account, notice that I'm logged in as myself here, and then it'll just take you here. If you don't have a Google account, then you'll need to create one. You can do this in other applications. So any word processing application is okay. I'm just demonstrating Google Docs because recently it seems like most students are familiar with Google Docs. So that's why I'm just going with that. But Microsoft Word, Open Office is a free program that works really well. You can create it in that or any other word processing application. It is really important as a college student to be able to use your technology. One of the key technologies that we use in college is word processing application. So learn it. All right, I'm going to demonstrate, one application, but what I'm showing you here, is very similar to the way it works in other word processing applications. They have a very similar sort of format. Okay, so I hit the plus, for a blank document, and so this is a new document, and we can title this Chicago Manual of Style template. Okay. And so I usually use Microsoft Word, so this isn't going to be super smooth, but as I kind of run into difficulty finding things, you'll see how I just sort of hack around until I figure it out. If I did it in Microsoft Word, it'd be very professional and very smooth, but maybe not as instructive. Okay. So first of all, we want to get some content. Okay, so I'm going to look at the dialogues of Plato. And this is the first volume of the Jowett translation of the complete works of Plato. This is the version I like to use. From the 19th century, so over, like 150 years. Let's see, it was published in 1892. Okay, so we're going on 130 years that this has been in print in this third edition. There was two more editions earlier than this, and again, this is in the format that is typical for works of philosophy, especially if they were published, before 1950 or so, or even maybe later than that, 1970. And I wanted to, let's see, here's the table of contents. I wanted to go to the symposium. So each of these is a dialogue. So these are like the chapters kind of within the book. However, they are considered works on their own. So that's going to present a little bit of difficulty of how to present it. But I guess maybe the best way to do this is I'll just do it as a chapter within a book. And so we'll treat the symposium as a chapter within the book. I think that has a hyperlink, yeah, okay. So, you know, we have this, there's an analysis that Jowett gives before the dialogue starts, and, you know, he does an introduction and step-by-step analysis of the dialogue, which is interesting. But then here's where the dialogue starts, and it's quite a long and meandering sort of dialogue. It's about a party, a drinking party. So, you know, the style is very appropriate. And what's happening in the symposium is that everyone is sharing an impromptu speech on Eros, and then you know, everybody's praising Eros as the greatest of the gods, the oldest of the gods, or maybe the youngest. And there's lots of back and forth, and they're just having fun with it. And then Socrates comes on. You know, it's his turn to give a speech about Eros, and he goes into this long story about Diotima, this sophist that he once met when he was very young, and she taught him about Eros. And so he's conveying Diotima's version of who Eros is. And there's something that's really interesting in here, is that it, you know, and this is kind of typical of Socrates. You start out, you know, the topic of the dialogue starts out seeming like it's going in one direction, and he always manages to bring it back to some of these core concepts that he's really interested in unexpected ways. And so, you know, he's telling of how Diotima, this, you know, sophistic, he presents her as pretty wise, actually. He does refer to her as a sophist, but he seems to genuinely think that she's onto something. Usually with sophists, you know, he's tearing them down. But she says this, no god is a philosopher or seeker after wisdom, for he is wise already. All right, so a seeker after wisdom, or one who desires wisdom, that's what philosopher literally means. So they're talking about the definition of philosophy and the definition of what a philosopher is. And Diotima says that no god is a philosopher because they can't seek after wisdom because they already got it. That's part of what being a god means. And she says, nor does any man who is wise seek after wisdom. So if a human being is wise, they don't seek after wisdom. Neither do the ignorant seek after wisdom. For herein is the evil of ignorance, that he who is neither good nor wise is nevertheless satisfied with himself. He has no desire for that which he feels no want. And then Socrates says, but then, Diotima, I said, are the lovers of wisdom, that's philosophers, if they are neither wise nor foolish, who then, Diotima, I said, are the lovers of wisdom if they are neither the wise nor the foolish, right? The wise, like the gods, they're not philosophers. They don't seek after wisdom. The ignorant, the foolish, they don't seek after wisdom. So who is it that actually seeks after wisdom? Who is it that is a philosopher? Diotima says, a child may answer that question, she replied. They are those who are in a mean. They are in a mean between the two. Love, that is Eros, is one of them. So Eros is a philosopher because he embodies desire, and as embodying desire, he desires wisdom. He doesn't have it. For wisdom is the most beautiful thing, and love, eros, is of the beautiful. Love is love of the beautiful. That's what eros desires, is the beautiful. And wisdom is the most beautiful thing. And therefore, love is also a philosopher or lover of wisdom. And being a lover of wisdom is in a mean between the wise and the ignorant. And of this, too, his birth is the cause, for his father is wealthy and wise, and his mother poor and foolish. Such, my dear Socrates, is the nature of the spirit of love, the spirit of eros. And she refrains from calling eros a god because he's not wise. He seeks after wisdom, so she calls him a spirit. Okay, so let's say that we're going to quote this. And maybe we might say, so let's do this. And I don't know if this is going to capture all this. All right, so we might have to fill this in. All right, so I'll copy and paste as much of it as I can. So I'm going to copy and paste. And we're going to introduce this quote. So that's one thing you want to do when you're writing your essays is, let the reader know where this quote is coming from. So we might say, when discussing the nature of love, Socrates asked his sophistical teacher Diotima, who then are the lovers of wisdom? All right, and we'll just leave it at that. And we could even put an ellipsis in here. So I'm cutting out part of the sentence. All right. Diotima replies, and now here I'm going to put a colon because this is going to be a long quote. I'm going to put this in a block quote. So this is one of the things that students seem to me not too familiar with, is how to do a block quote. You can look up block quote on Wikipedia and it'll explain one. Also on Purdue OWL, you'll find an explanation there. But what we're going to do is just bring in the margins by a ½ inch on either side. And so we're going to have a block in the middle here of the page that's a little tighter. And when you see that, that indicates that it's a quote. And we use that for longer quotes. And so, and the rule of thumb is if it goes over 4 lines, so if it's 5 or more lines in the paragraph that you're writing, then put it in a block quote. And even, if you feel like it, if it seems long enough to you, just go ahead and put it in a block quote. It's a lot easier to read, because This is a common convention, again, in this, this more traditional style of formatting. Okay, so we're going to bring in this paragraph here on either side. I'm just going to bring it in by a ½ inch on both sides. And then now we don't put a quotation mark in front of this. We're just going to say, a child may answer that question. And we can again put an ellipsis in there. Question. They are those who are in a mean between the two. Love, and I'm going to, as I was saying before, eros is one of them. So I can put in that little bracket comment, eros, to clarify things. You know, when she says love here, and the reason why it's capitalized is because she's referring to eros. Okay, this entity, eros. Is one of them, for wisdom is the most beautiful thing, and love is of the beautiful, and therefore love is also a philosopher. A philosopher or lover of wisdom. And being a lover of wisdom is in a mean between the wise and is in a mean between the wise and the ignorant. And I'm retyping this because you saw when I copied it, you know, may not have caught everything. Sometimes, you know, you'll get glitches in there. So I'm just making sure that it's cleaned up and that it's accurate. And of this, so here, 2 is not TO6, right? Should be 2. His birth is the cause, for his father is wealthy and wise, and his mother poor and foolish. Such, my dear Socrates, is the nature of the spirit, love, or eros. All right. And then I might go on to say, recounting his dialogue with Diotima, Socrates reveals the essence of velocity. All right, and then so then maybe that's my thesis statement, and I'm going to go on to write an essay about this. Okay, so that looks pretty good. And now one thing that we want to do, and I'm going to select all, one thing that we want to do is we do want to make sure that we're using double space. So use double space. You can use any standard font as long as it's, pretty professional looking and readable. So we want something that looks professional and readable. Arial is fine, and just make sure that it's at least 10 point. All right. Most of these conventions are for things that are being printed out, but some of our professors are older and they like things printed out, and it's it's best if you make it so they can actually read it. Okay, so for my purposes, I like electronic stuff, but we're still tied into this format of books from 100 years ago and the writing of papers on typewriters from 100 years ago. So we make some compromises here, but we want to make sure there's some continuity so that we can communicate effectively in an academic setting. Okay, so then I'm going to go on to write the essay, and we'll leave it at that. But I need to reference this. All right, so right here after the period, okay, so after the period, I'm going to insert, I think. So this is here where I'm going to have, all right, so here I'm going to insert a footnote. And notice that it put a little footnote marker there. It did the bar, and then it creates, the technology creates the footnote at the bottom of the page. So make sure you're using the technology. That you're not somehow trying to, I don't know, manually do this, because that doesn't work. Okay. And so I'm going to say symposium, like a chapter of a book, in symposium, in, and then we're going to reference this book. So we want to look at like the title page. And here's, the big long title, The Dialogues of Plato, translated into English with analyses and introductions by Jowett. And actually, this is from the online Library of Liberty. This is a very good source for a lot of books that are in the public domain. And so I could just kind of grab this right here. So I'm going to copy this, because they give, kind of the main idea of what it's supposed to, some kind of, like just in this traditional way, the way that we reference this text. And then I want to go to the Purdue OWL website. And let's just go to the formatting and style guide. And then off the side here, general format, it has books. And we're going to use the, note. We're actually using footnote. Footnote and bibliography in B sub-format. And so the note should look something like this. So we want to put the author. All right, so the author is actually Plato. and we'll put a comma. Plato doesn't have a last name. Okay, so he's just like Madonna, a one name person. And then we'll put symposium. Oh, and so here's where we need to look at book with author. So we'll do chapter from a single authored book. So I'll just follow this format. And again, we're just trying to get close. If I see something that doesn't look quite right, then I'll comment on it. But as long as it's pretty close, that's good. And you may notice some details even that I'm not even a stickler for, but I'll mention one of those in a minute. So here we do the author's name, the title of the chapter, and then say in the big book, and then do the parentheses for the place of publication. And so let's follow this as a model. So we're going to do Plato, comma, symposium, all right? And then we're going to put a comma right here in the quotation marks, in, all right? And so, the dialogues of Plato, and let's see if, and then let's look for, so this is kind of combining a lot of different elements. So, you have to kind of compare and contrast the different styles, and again, sort of just make it work. Okay, let's see. So what I want to look for is a translated work with one author, and so notice how we have hopscotch, comma, trans, George Rabasai. Okay, so let's do. So we're going to do a comma, and we're going to do trans for translated. And it says trans by Benjamin Jowett, translated Benjamin Jowett. And then we're going to, we can get rid of, and so I chose this example because it's kind of hard to get all the details right, and you may find that I make some mistake here. So, but I'm trying to get it as close as possible. And so we want to do a book. Doesn't, I guess they don't have edition. No. Let's see. Yeah, so I think the way I'm interpreting this is that we're not going to put the edition in all this stuff. We're just going to keep it simple, because the date will tell you what edition we're dealing with. And of course, the location is Oxford University Press, 1892. And so then we wanted to put the page number. So we were back, No God is a Philosopher. And we'll do 574 to, and we're going to put a comma, 574 to 575, and then a period. Make sure you put a period at the end of your footnote. Right, so I think is because of texting recently, I get a lot of missing periods, not only on footnotes, but even sometimes in the paragraphs. So make sure you're including your periods And every footnote should end with a period. Okay. So that's what a footnote should look like. One thing that I'm not doing, but you know, if you're so inclined, you can get your numbering of your footnotes at the bottom of the page to look like this, to be large format. You know, you can highlight. There is a way to do it. I've done it before. Well, I've done it in Word. I haven't done it in Google Docs, but there is a way to get the one to be regular size with a period. So if you want to get into that, that's fine. And I'll give you extra credit for stuff like that, because I will notice, you know. So, so feel free to get more specific than even what I'm asking for. All right, so that looks pretty good. And then what we need now here is I'm going to insert so I'm thinking the way that I would normally do it in Microsoft Word, but I'm having to look around because I want to insert a break. Let's see if I can just do it. Insert. I may not be seeing it. Date, footnote, equation. Oh, here, break. Page break. All right, so I'm going to insert a page break. And now this line across here means that the new page is starting. Okay. And all right, and I think that's the header right there. But what I want to do is to use the centering function and do bibliography. And then I'm going to do 2 lines, and then I'm going to go back to this. I don't want right align, but I want a special kind of formatting here. It's called a hanging indent. And let's see. Indentation options, special indent, hanging. All right, so I'm getting the hang of Google Docs. I've done this once before. So this is my second time through doing this. So we want to use a hanging indent. Again, it's under format and align and indentation options, and then use hanging, and 0.5 is standard. So that's good. You also want to make sure your margins are 1 inch. Google Docs, the default is at 1 inch. You can use 1 inch or 1.25 inches, so 1¼ inches, but more than that, not really necessary, especially when you're using double spacing. Again, if you have a professor who wants you to turn stuff in it on paper, they need space in order to write and make marks and make notes, you know, and mark up your paper. So that's why we do double spacing for academic work, is just so a reviewer, your professor, or somebody else can make notes on there. There's enough space to put stuff in there. Okay, so then we're going to take our note entry. I think I lost that formatting. Let me do it again. Aligning and indentation options. I'm going to make hanging. Okay, there we go. And notice what it does is it puts in this little space right here, this half-inch space, so then the last names of all the authors stick out. And then they should be alphabetized. Make sure you alphabetize your bibliography according to the last name of the authors. And it should be last name, then first name for the bibliography. That's one thing. This example is not entirely complete, but you'll get the hang of it. And so now we want to look at what's different. Notice how in the footnotes it's like all commas, mostly commas all throughout, and then a period at the end. But with the corresponding bibliography entry, then we switch the first name and last name. We do a period. So we're going to do a period here. And then we're going to do a period at the end of the title, like right here. And let's go back, actually, let's see, chapter, yeah, so we're looking at the right example, okay. So, and then we're going to do a capital N. So notice these little changes. So this is going to be in the Dialogues of Plato, and then, where was that? Translated. So, and notice we use the abbreviation in the footnote, but we do translated by. Here, so we're going to put a period and then by Benjamin Jowett. Okay. And then we're going to put a period after Jowett. Whoops. And then we're going to take out the parentheses, and we're going to put a period there. I think that's right. All right, so you know, that's the footnote and bibliography sort of component. Okay, now what we want to do is to, let me see here. I kind of think that there's an extra space here for some reason. Okay. Maybe we can look at show print layout. That's better. Okay, so yeah, so here's the print layout. Okay, and then what we want to do is to put another page break here. And now we have a title page. And on this title page, whoops. On this title page, we want to center everything. And we want to come down 1/3 of the page, which is right about the 3-inch mark. So notice the ruler on the left hand, oh, you can't quite see that. So the ruler on the left-hand side, you want to be at, you know, pretty close to the 3-inch mark. Depending on the size of font you use, you're not going to be able to necessarily get it right on the nose, but close to the 3-inch mark on the left-hand ruler over here. And so let's say, let's call this let's call this the nature of love and the definition of a philosopher according to Socrates. Okay, so that's our title, about 1/3 of the way down, and then we're going to several lines later. put your name. Let's say, let's call that's your name, whatever your name is. Put that there. And then I like it, to put the professor's name, so that, especially when you're turning stuff in on paper, paper can get shuffled around. It ends up in the wrong pile, gets left in the office someplace, and it's good to put the professor's name on there. So if somebody else finds it, they know, hey, this is for Swearengin. They'll put it in, for me in a place I can find it. And then put the title of the course. So let's say this is Philosophy 100. But of course, if you're not taking Philosophy 100, then put the actual name of the course. And then you put the date. So today is June 6, 2022. All right, so that looks good. All right, and if I maybe make this a little smaller, you can see what it looks like, even smaller yet. Let's say fit, maybe. No, that doesn't work. 25, maybe 35. Let's see. Well, let me go 20. It won't let me go smaller than 50%, but that's what it looks like. And so that's the end. The last page should be the bibliography. It should be on its own page. We have paragraphs. We have block quotations as needed. And then the other thing that we want to do is we want to put a page number here in the upper right-hand corner. Just a page number, just a number, not your name, nothing from other formats. Just insert a page number up there. And so we're going to insert, I thought I saw it, page number. And we're going to notice this option here is what we want. We want the title page with no page number, and then the second page to start number 1. So we want to select that option. If you did start out like this, there's a way of fixing it. So we don't want this. We don't want a number 1 on the title page, because the title page doesn't count in the number of pages. So like if your professor is saying, I want 5 pages, and you count the title page as a page, that's not right. So we want to get rid of this page number. And so we have like more options. Start at page 2. Okay. And we want it in the header. And so let's see. Oh, no, that wasn't right. Insert page number, more options. Start at 0. Start with the number 0. And don't show it on the first page. Okay, so let me leave that marked. And so starting at 0 does this. Okay, so that's our title page, is the 0 page. And then the 1 starts there, but we don't want the 0 to show up. We want to not show that on the first page. And there are similar options in Microsoft Word. And so then we get something that looks like this. So there's no page number on the title page. When we start our essay, notice there's no title on page number 1. We just start writing. One thing that I didn't do that I should do is I should put a tab right here. So make sure your paragraphs begin with tab indents. That's part of Chicago Manual. And then our bibliography is on the last page. this looks pretty good. I think I've done everything. You know, these are, of course, are the things that I'm really concerned with, is just that you can present, you can create a document that looks like this. So learn your technology, use what I've shown you here as a model, you know, follow along, create your own Google Doc, and then I'm going to have you submit this. And you can use the same, you can do exactly what I did or something similar to it. You can use Google Docs or use another application. Just make sure that you know how to use your technology, okay? So that is it. Again, good luck. Let me just check to make sure, maybe is there something else I wanted to look. I do have links here how to create an account. So it's the create an account page. And then also this is a little guide on how to use Google Docs. So this is helpful too. And then what I'm recording right now is this lecture video. And that's it. Bye now. All right.